Hi and welcome to another video by Are You Arty Kids. In this video we're going to look at street art lettering and also watercolour painting skills. In the first part of this video we are going to draft out our development design. You can do it on cartridge paper. I am just using this watercolour pad, a little bit better for painting on. So what I've done is I've drafted out some designs. I'm using onomatopoeia words, so a word that is a sound word. So we have got fizz, using the bubble street art lettering with a little bit of overlap technique. I've got my sort of fizz sort of movement on a skateboard. So these are just my drafted initial ideas just out on cheap bond paper. A little bit of the little movement, sort of little sort of worms around the outside. So that's fizz, that's one of my ideas I came up with. Next one is boom, another onomatopoeia word, sound word. So I've got the little sort of street art, sort of Jean-Michel Basquiat sort of crown on here. Got the peace symbol, bit of an eye. I've got some sort of some block with a little arrow. You see a lot in graffiti street art lettering, made that 3D. And then I've got these sort of resonating explosions, stars, very sort of Liechtenstein explosions, and some sort of radiating lines. So that's my next one I came up with. Next one was snap. Not very super recognizable lettering wise, but it's just sort of a design that evolved. It's got this sort of karate style lightning S, sort of a bubbly N, sort of a bit of a hybrid, thick to thin. And then I started drawing this skull from the P of snap. So it's almost like it's not exactly recognisable, but as a P. But I got the skull with the lightning through, and then I just thought of flames. You can see I've sketched all these out in pencil, very draft, no rubbing out, fine lined them all. And then the last one I came up with was pop. So again, I just started drawing it out just to get the idea, just normal, and then thought, what could I replace the letters with? So came up with the idea, you've seen it a lot in street art, this gem, sort of stereotypical diamond, and then I had the idea of almost like a heart behind. You can't really see it that well, actually. And then the angel wings, and then made these bubbles. So these were the 4 ideas I came up with. I've decided to... I do like snap actually, but I think I'm going to go with boom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw this out onto, because this is just thin bond, won't really paint that very well. So I'm going to redraw this out now onto watercolour paper. As I say, I could use cartridge. So the way I'm going to do it, obviously I'm working sort of A4 sheet, so 210 millimeters by 297, working landscape like a wall. And I always start by just drafting out into stick first when I do my lettering, just to get the proportions right. So you could draw it upright, so I'm just going to get the B. Holding the pencil a little bit further back so you can see what you're doing, and also forces you not to be too pressure heavy at this end because we are going to paint. So I'm going to overlap. So I'm just getting a feel of where I want it. So I'm just going to move that back a little bit. Okay, so I'm just drafting out my boom. Right then, so what do I want to do? So I'm going to get that bubble. When we sketch, obviously we've got lots of lines, which we can clean up later on. Getting my muscle memory in my fingers so I can drift these shapes nice and lightly and get them nice and fluid. I'm going to put the crown over the top of the B. Again, positions. So on my original design I had the peace symbol going in front of, so I'll do that again. Okay. And then I've got the eye. And then the M I'm going to overlap behind, like that. I like the idea of that coming down. Maybe just back swipe that one, thick to thin. That's how I like. Okay, put the arrowhead on, and then gravity pulling that down. Like so. Going off the page, maybe. And have that stick. Might make that be a bit fatter, I think. Make the crown a bit bigger. Okay, so I've got that basic draft there, and then I'm just going to put some basic sort of basic explosions. Okay. Still not happy with that B. So what we're going to do, just move that up a bit. I think I might just alter that. A little bit. Okay, so that's part one. So I just changed it a little bit. So this is now drafted onto watercolour paper. So I'm going to use my little watercolour set, some small brushes. I'm going to use the tin lid as my mixing palette. Need to get my clean water ready and a bit of rag. I'll be with you in a second. Part one done. Right, so we're ready for the painting stage. So just having a flick through, got this little book on street logos, and you'll see with a lot of the street artists, bold, bright colours, a lot of use of complementary contrasts. So greens against reds, yeah, the sort of pinks against greens. So sort of thinking about my colour palette and which way I'm going to go with this. So I quite like this green and pink. They work quite nicely. So I think I might do something with that to start off.